Hello and welcome to Odetplin News. I'm your host, Robert Anchor. In today's news broadcast, we'll be covering the rise of Odetplin, Inactivitus, and the new Chinese government. Let's get started. In our first story, we will be covering the changing of the Chinese government. In recent times, a large Inactivitus B and C pandemic has started spreading around the world, with China not being excluded from this wave. Included in this wave of the global pandemic was Chinese President Xi Jinping, who has entered stage 2 of inactivitis. As such, multiple officials within the government have been scrambling to maintain governmental functions, with President Liu Chang coming out as a temporary president whilst Xi Jinping recovers from inactivitis or enters stage 3 of the virus. The global response to this new government has gone quite well, with Tornea fully recognizing it, with King Izetta responding how it was just right, and allowed the continuing of the Chinese embassy to Tornea construction. Avalon, on the other hand, has been less responsive, choosing to build an entire skyscraper rather than to acknowledge the transfer of government. As for the domestic response, there has been a slight exodus of citizens from Nanjing, likely to Tornea, more specifically Odetplin and Zakplin. This exodus has received no official response from the Chinese government, while the Tornean government has opted to openly accept immigrants, while the Avalonian government has directed them to Europe or Tornea. Our second story will be in relation to the first, the Inactivitus virus. As covered in the last story, a large Inactivitus B and C pandemic has started, with it destroying entire cities and even countries. With Alsace, Lotharing, Seal, and Abkhazia, New Spain, and more. This list has been rapidly growing as treatment to the pandemic has been lightly done, with scientists from Tornea and China being the primary ones to make an effort in treatment research. Most cities in the Americas have been heavily affected by this virus, with inactivitis C devastating the eastern and western seaboards. Doing the best in the Americas would be the Medellin cartel, although they're still doing horrible compared to the global standard. It's been suspected but not confirmed that drug lord Chase May has contracted inactivitis B, something which could be devastating for the cartel if he enters stage 3 of the virus. However, Africa, although not doing well, is much higher than the current global standard, with Odetplin thriving and both Odetplin and Acid District at regular pre-pandemic standards. Effects can still be seen inside Zakplin though, where inactivitis B has destroyed the settlement, but a new settlement is expected to come soon, as with Salvin. As we here at Odetplin News prioritize safety of our viewers, for legal reasons, we will be telling you about the variants and their lethality. First, we have Inactivitis A, the current smallest and least lethal version of the virus. It spreads separately under certain circumstances and usually will not kill its victims unless something specific happens and can be treated easily. Second, we have Inactivitis B, a far more deadly version with the variant likely starting in Northern America, more specifically Abkhazia. It is not as lethal as variant C but can easily kill you. It is far less treatable than the A variant and requires special precautions. Finally, we have Inactivitis C, with the variant likely starting in Asia, more specifically Sri Lanka. This variant has been far the most deadly, single-handedly taking out the entirety of Sri Lanka and New Spain. If it remotely comes into contact with one citizen, there is a high chance of it infecting all citizens in the area, and then starting essentially a natural genocide. We asked viewers to put their opinions on this, and this is the response that we got.
There are variants? What?
Our third and final story will be relating to the rise of Odetplin. As the rest of the world is currently suffering under the inactivitis pandemic, arguably, Odetplin is thriving, with it managing to jump on leaderboard after leaderboard, at one point being a nuclear wasteland to now rivaling cities in Avalon. Odetplin has been jumping on multiple things, from the second tallest building on the planet to a fast food chain. A majority of these accomplishments can be traced back to Crown Prince Albert of Tornea, the current governor of Odetplin. For example, McDonald's, it's a personal restaurant chain of Albert Nickel, or Albert Izana now. Odetplin has notably become the richest city on the planet, with a total wealth of 51,600 emeralds as of writing on the script, with the new amount being included in asterisks up there. Now, this is 4,300 emeralds ahead of the second place holder, the Avalonian Ass District, at around 47,300 emeralds. Along with that, multiple plans have been set up by Odetplin to continue expansion throughout not only its city, but the province, as visible from satellites. As for the city, metro plans have been outlined and are currently set to begin construction soon, some of which have been speculated to be fully automatic. We asked the viewers to put their opinions on this, and this is the response that we got.
As the de facto president of the Republic of China, I am impressed at the fact that it has prospered and reached the top of the economic leaderboard in its post-war era.
That would be all from this broadcast from Odetplin News. Thank you for watching, and I am your host, Robert Anchor, signing off.